My name is Jaygriffyuh, and welcome to my updated total class breakdown for the Wizard in Dark and Darker. I am the rank 1 Wizard, as well as the number 2 killer in the world, and I achieved this as a solo player. My previous guide was very in-depth, so if you haven't seen it, I highly recommend that you do. The link will be in the description. I'll quickly go over spells, perks, and skills, so pause this video if you need more time. Zap is the best new spell, and it does huge damage with gear. Ignite boosts your damage on melee swings. Light Orb just sends out a ball of light. Ice Bolt does damage and slows briefly. Lightning Strike is an AoE with a slight delay on this cast. Chain Lightning bounces to nearby targets for big damage. Fireball is huge damage and splashes to hit multiple people. Magic Missiles is a great melee counter and has the highest DPS in the game. Haste is a movement speed increasing buff. Invisibility also gives you move speed as well as invisibility. Slow reduces your target's movement speed by 40%. The first 4 perks are definitely required. Quick Chant is the best perk with plus 20% casting speed. Arcane Mastery reduces the cast time of magic missiles and invisibility. Fire Mastery doubles your burn duration of Fireball, as well as increases its damage. Sage increases your knowledge by 10%. The rest of the perks are not that great. Mana Surge is a 5% damage bonus. Reactive Shield is a barrier that procs after you take damage. Ice Shield gives armor and slows attackers. Arcane Feedback just isn't that good. Melt is the worst perk in the game. Do not use this. The only 2 skills you should use are Meditation and Spell Memory 1. Intense Focus turns your next spell into an instant cast. You have to replace Meditation, which means you have to bring Campfires. Spell Memory 2 is the only new skill, which allows you to take up to 10 spells, but requires a load of knowledge to have that much spell capacity. 10 spell wizard is insanely fun though, so you should definitely try it out at some point. Zap has become a hard requirement in my book. It does insane damage with gear, and you get a bunch of charges back per meditate. The other 4 spells are extremely hard to replace for any other option that you have. You can replace invisibility for Ignite when you have no gear or you're level 1. Put Ignite as your 5th spell slot in the priority, which means you won't be able to run it until you acquire 1 more knowledge or 1 more spell capacity. Spell capacity is the reworked spell system. Each spell has a tier, and those tiers have points equal to their tier. Knowledge gives you spell capacity as well as spellcasting speed. Here are all the spell tiers and their associated point costs. Meditation gives you spell charges back, and the charges are dependent on their tier level of spell. Every 2 or 3 meditations does give you an extra spell on top usually. Getting your knowledge to around 18 gives plenty of spellcasting speed to then gear into more damage. The best stat roll would be plus all attributes. Knowledge is preferred to get first for that spellcasting speed breakpoint before I switch into will or magic damage as a higher prio. You could totally scrap all this and go strictly for true magic damage because it does scale insanely hard for all of your spells. You should do whatever you can to take any rangers out of the fight first. They can one-shot you with a decent longbow in the head. Wizards have high damage, so I go for them second, and they're also annoying. The rest of the classes aren't much of a threat, but most players can kill you in 2 or 3 swings. I tend to go for rogues third since they are the fastest. The biggest change to weapons is that they now have plus magic damage depending on the rarity. Crystal Sword does not have additional magic damage, but it has split magic damage that scales with your stats. The two differences of wizard weapons is mainly movement speed penalty as well as the physical casting animation in-game. Spellbook and Orb have the fastest animation, while Staff and the Crystal Sword have the slower animations. Spellbook is the best weapon you have with the lowest movement speed penalty. I highly recommend bringing a spellbook with any other weapon of choice in your secondary slot to help with PvE, and also give you the option to hack and slash other players. The Orb and Dagger combo has the most movement speed penalty, but if you run Ignite, you need to bring this. The Crystal Sword does huge damage because it scales with the magic weapon damage, and if you're not running Ignite, this is a great option. The Staff is the absolute worst weapon. You should replace this as soon as possible. Crossbows used to be fairly viable, but with new spell options, you should definitely focus on increasing your magic power. That's all I have for today's guide. I will be making a PvP-oriented guide specifically for the Wizard class, so keep an eye out for that. It'll probably be closer to the next playtest. Maybe next playtest, you'll become the rank 1 Wizard. Thanks so much for watching. Have a great day.